What's happening today, we're having an award program, an award ceremony in relation to our National Community Design Award program, where a number of community groups, like 60-odd community groups around the country, submitted proposals in relation to projects that have been undertaken in their areas and for which they think there should be some national recognition.
I was genuinely sitting there thinking I could take a lot more of it. I have to say that what's extraordinary is usually you're sitting at an award ceremony looking at your watch going, oh no, when's this going to be over? And the stories, the things we were hearing about, the buildings we were seeing, I mean really great design, fantastic ideas.
Although these are community projects and we are not emphasising professionals rewarding professionals, we have a very eminent panel assessing these awards led by Max Farrell.
People are getting slightly jaded by all the different awards that are out there by architects, for architects, and I think for communities to step forwards and nominate buildings and places that they think have value to them is incredibly important, and I think hopefully it will be recognised as such.
It's been a real honour and privilege to be part of this process. We got so many fantastic projects in, and the quality of the schemes that have emerged, but also the great community stories around them, have been really inspirational, and there's some really important lessons for others around partnership working, collaboration, but above all just really great inspiring stories that we hope will inspire others.
These projects have to have some quality, there has to be a physical quality about them, but there also has to be a community involvement and positive impact on the community for them to be rewarded.
The organisation's name, Civic Voice, says a lot about the fact that quite often communities feel like they don't have a voice and they don't have a means to be heard, whether it's through the planning system or whether it's through design trends and what's appropriate and what isn't, and whether or not they prefer a certain type of architecture to another. Sometimes it feels like that's imposed on them rather than something that they've been involved in deciding, and so I think that's a big important shift, a cultural shift that's going on. And also the increased emphasis on engagement and meaningful engagement, not just kind of lifting the veil on a model and seeing and getting gasps of horror or otherwise, but actually people being involved at the outset in terms of setting out what their community needs and wants is important, and is something that is changing, and architects are recognising that, definitely. I think what was amazing when we first saw all 60 entries was the variety. The one thing I suppose that stood out for all the judges was the things that they all had in common. Even though they're all very different projects, they were all about telling a story, about a project actually in itself, the process of doing it, creating better community cohesion, and then the final outcome being something that everyone's very proud of. And that was shown by all the descriptions in all the nominations, and the amount of passion that went into describing how these things had unfolded, often against the odds, was pretty inspiring stuff.
Look at the service station, unexpected but fantastic. All Souls, modern pods going into a historic place of worship. We have the infrastructure of the Margate, of the steps there, and so they're all really different approaches to things that we take for granted every day, having to be a certain way.
The winner, the overall winner, the service station, is mind-boggling in its repercussions and what it means for a community doing that. I mean, that's extraordinary, and something that ought to be more widely known about.
It's also unusual in that in the area we live in Stroud, a very beautiful part of the world, most of what you see given awards are conservation schemes. You'd expect us to be putting forward perhaps a public realm conservation scheme. To find us putting forward one of the most ambitious new build schemes built anywhere in the country in the last 20 years is quite remarkable.
It's been fantastic. I'm completely amazed that we've won it. But it's been a vision for 15 years really for some of us in the local community, and we've really hung on to that and fought for it really hard. And so it's just really fantastic to get recognition for a project that so many people said was impossible. But we knew it was possible, and we've got such brilliant partners all around the project, both in delivering it and in now running it, that it's just a source of pride for our local community and for all the local producers and the staff and everybody involved in the project.
Well, we were lucky to have such an outstanding project as recognised by the Award of Awards, because who'd have thought that a motorway service area would have won a community award? I mean, it just sounds ridiculous, and that's what's exceptional about this scheme. So it is a unique project, it's a one-off. It's not every day you get a motorway service area built in your district, and it's astonishing it got built, and I'm very, very pleased that it won.
Now's the challenge is to make the most of the project for the local communities. So we've had a vision, we've delivered it, but now we're going to be working hard for the next 15 years to make sure we get the maximum local community benefit from it. And I believe we will, because there's a fantastic partnership between a business, the Westmoreland family, and a charity, Gloucestershire Gateway Trust. And together we can really make things happen.
And we recently carried out a review for the government of architecture nationally. And one of the things we talked about was the need to have more civic champions and championing the civic values and participating in the built environment process. And I think this is a really good example of that actually happening and coming to fruition. So it's very, very rewarding.
Our intention is the programme should become an annual programme, and so then it'll be perhaps a smaller number of applications next year, but the same sort of process, community recommended projects, not just professionals recommending projects to award to other professionals. There's a real community emphasis about this.
So I'd recommend all civic societies to actually look around and have a think, see if something fits the category.
I hope, genuinely hope, that this gets bigger. I hope that it continues. I hope that more people are involved, and I hope we get a sense of national consciousness, because most of all, when you see these things done, you think it's extraordinary that people can do them. They seem such big projects. And as a result, if more people get involved, more things like this can be done to keep our cities healthy and entertaining and exciting places to be in.
It's one of those things where you wonder why they didn't have these awards already. Hopefully something that will go from strength to strength.